What truly defines the power of a nation? Is it the vastness of its geographical territory? Is it the sheer size of its population? Or is it the hidden scale of its economic output? Throughout human history, power has worn many faces. But in the harsh reality of the modern world, there is a silent, ultimate, and absolute metric of hard power: military expenditure. This is not just a list of random numbers. Behind every single dollar recorded on this chart lies a nation's deepest geopolitical ambitions, their unspoken fears, their grand strategies, and exactly how they prepare to survive in an unpredictable future. But before we release the timeline, there is a critical, monumental condition we must address. The United States of America has been completely excluded from this dataset. Let us explain why. It is not because they lack relevance. It is because their defense budget is so monstrously massive that it completely breaks the visual scale of any chart. The US spends more on its military than the next 10 nations combined. If we kept the American bar on this leaderboard, the entire competition below would look like flat lines. The race would lose all its cinematic tension. And so, we turn our spotlight to the rest of the world. Welcome to the arena where the real, brutal race happens. The year is 2000. The world enters a brand new millennium. The long, freezing echoes of the Cold War are finally fading. The leaderboard at this moment shows a familiar hierarchy. It reflects a highly stable, post-Cold War world order. Look at the absolute top of the chart. Japan holds the global crown, with an incredible $45 billion in defense spending. This is a direct reflection of their massive economic dominance at the time. Even with a pacifist constitution, their sheer wealth pushed them to the top. Right behind Japan, we see the traditional European titans: the United Kingdom and France. Two historic colonial empires maintaining their global military footprint. Germany also keeps a rock-solid position in the upper tier, securing the defense of Western Europe. But now, cast your eyes further down the list. Look closely at the bottom. The People's Republic of China sits quietly in the shadows, with a very modest budget of just $22 billion. They are currently a fraction of the European leaders. They are barely half of what Japan is spending. At this moment in the year 2000, the world feels secure. But this stability is nothing more than an illusion. As we move into the early years of the 2000s, the global landscape fractures. The post-9/11 era begins. A new age of global counterterrorism forces nations to rethink security. Western nations begin to slowly adjust their spending. But the real shockwave is happening in the East. Look at the deep red bar representing China. Their economic engine is igniting at a speed never before seen in human history. As their GDP skyrockets, their military budget follows that exact same trajectory. It is not a sudden, temporary spike. It is a relentless, smooth, terrifying upward curve. Year after year, month after month, they are systematically devouring the distance to the leaders. By the year 2005, a major shift occurs. China accelerates past Italy, Germany, and France. The old European Guard is officially losing its historic grip on power. The momentum of the East is now completely unstoppable. By 2008, the global financial crisis shakes the Western world. Western budgets begin to freeze or stagnate under economic pressure. But China does not slow down. They claim the number 2 spot, officially dethroning the United Kingdom. Only one obstacle remains in their path to dominance: Japan. And then, the monumental year of 2010 arrives. Watch the motion of the bars very closely. The historic crossover finally happens. China surges with massive force to the absolute number 1 spot, crossing the $105 billion milestone. In just one decade, they have fundamentally shattered the old world order. The global center of military gravity has officially shifted to the east. We begin the second half of our geopolitical journey in 2011. The global leaderboard has a new king. And China is no longer just leading the race. They are completely running away with it. The gap between number 1 and number 2 begins to widen into an ocean. By the year 2015, China reaches an astronomical $196 billion. They are no longer competing with their neighbors. They are playing in a league of their own. But beneath the shadow of the giant, a fierce, chaotic battle erupts. Look at the Middle East. Saudi Arabia explodes onto the upper tier of the leaderboard. Fueled by massive, historic oil revenues. They pump over $87 billion into advanced Western military hardware. At the same time, look at the blue bar of Russia. They are silently, aggressively rearming under a massive modernization program. They hold the number 4 spot with $66 billion. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom and France are caught in a cycle of stagnation. Their budgets remain flat, trapped by domestic austerity. And now, a new heavyweight contender enters the arena. Look at the rapid rise of India. A new economic superpower is waking up in South Asia. Driven by rising regional tensions, India crosses the $51 billion mark. The world is entering a dark period of deep geopolitical friction. The old alliances are being tested like never before. By the year 2020, the leaderboard looks entirely unrecognizable compared to 2000. China completely breaks past the $258 billion mark. They have built an untouchable fortress of defense spending. Right behind them, India accelerates dramatically. They claim the absolute number 2 spot in the world, reaching $73 billion. Saudi Arabia and Russia continue to exert massive financial pressure, pushing the traditional European powers further and further down the rankings. Look at the top 5 positions on your screen right now. They are now completely dominated by Asian and Middle Eastern powers. The era where the West was the default superpower zone is officially dead. And now, we enter the final, most volatile, and most dangerous phase of the race. From 2024, leading up to our current year of 2026. The entire global security architecture is completely torn apart. The outbreak of major regional conflicts changes everything. The luxury of peace is gone. Look at the numbers explode with violent momentum across the entire board. China approaches an unimaginable, historic $313 billion. They are fortifying their position across every military domain. But watch the breathtaking, dramatic rise of the Russian Federation. Moving their entire national economy onto a total war footing. Their defense spending leaps with massive velocity to nearly $149 billion. Securing a definitive, powerful number 2 spot on the global stage. Even Western Europe is finally waking up from its decades of deep slumber. Faced with a new reality, Germany enacts a historic turning point. They inject a massive $88 billion into their armed forces, staging a dramatic comeback into the top tier. India holds incredibly strong at $86 billion. Locked in a permanent, high-stakes regional standoff. Take a moment to look at this final leaderboard of 2026. If you remember the year 2000, this feels like an entirely different planet. The old Q-Vong like Japan and France have been pushed completely to the margins. The numbers on this chart do not just represent financial currency. They represent millions of tons of steel, advanced AI technology, and absolute strategic intent. Every single increase on this board is a loud signal. It tells us exactly what a nation fears, and exactly what it desires to protect. This animated race cannot predict what tomorrow will bring. But it shows us the undeniable truth of how the global balance of power was rewritten in the span of 26 years. The illusion of a peaceful world has faded. And this dangerous race is far from over. Thank you for watching this deep dive by Data Race 360. If you want to understand the numbers shaping our world, Make sure to hit that follow button right now. We will see you in the next data showdown.